And we're live.
We are live on your side, definitely on my side. I don't know what's here. We go.
There you go.
There we go, Cookie.
I'm going to pop a comment up so people can see comments here.
Yes. Hello, everybody. What is going on? How is everyone feeling? The sun is shining. Well, at least on my neck of the woods, it's shining.
Oh, it's shining here.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Yesterday was a little dreary.
We had some pouring rain. Yes, we did.
Yeah, we had some floods, unfortunately, around these parts as well. But everybody that I know is okay, and I hope everybody else is doing okay and everything is okay. Because we had some bad weather. It's been a little bit crazy over here on these neck of the woods in the springtime. So
in the ATL.
In the ATL in Kentucky and Tennessee, there's been some floods and stuff like that. So hopefully everybody is okay.
Yes.
But yeah, it's been a little wild. But I'm glad everyone is here. If you haven't tuned in before, we actually do a live cast once a month. You know, we answer some questions that the people have. And I decided today, the people. I decided today, I was like, we got a lot of questions about self-worth. And for me, that was really like, oh, yeah, let's talk about that, because that's something I think we all really struggle with. You know what I mean? When we're trying to do new things, when we're trying to create new things, we're trying to better ourselves, we're trying to stay positive. We're trying to, do the best that we can. And sometimes we're like, what the F, dude? Like, yes. We get frustrated. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. We get super frustrated, just a bit, just a touch, we get frustrated. And, I think it's really important for us to kind of really tap into that a little bit more. Because it's a lot of us, like, we're all going through certain changes, whether it's, I knew now, I don't know if you were aware of this. I had no idea. I was like, what is really going on with me? Do I have, like, my brain is super foggy. I'm super exhausted. My appetite's not there, this, that, and the third. And I register actually to, I don't know if you guys are aware, it's like the master class. It's like you pay this thing or whatever. It's like maybe $100 for the year, but it's all these people talking about these different things. One of them was Halle Berry, and she was talking about menopause. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Let me listen to that. Girl, I did not know that there was pre-menopause. I had no idea that was.
Oh, Perry, isn't it Perry?
Yeah, perimenopause. Yes.
Well, that's because you're young. Of course, you don't know that yet.
But why aren't the people talking about this? Like,
no one wants to talk about it.
I know no one wants to talk about it, but I mean, good gracious, my goodness gracious! Like, I feel like I was going cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, and I was like, oh, it can start up to as young as 36 years old. Jigga what? Like, yeah, I mean, so if anybody out there would like to discuss this on the podcast, please hit us up, because I need information. I want to know the things and talk about the things, and not go to the doctor and be like, oh yeah, you didn't know that? No, man, didn't know that. That's why I'm asking, like, what the F is happening right now? So again, with self-worth, we have to know these things. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just wild. But that's a side tangent. We'll discuss that on another day. But it's out
we
there.
Definitely should get
talk about it.
Someone that's a specialist or deals with that a little bit more, to get some more insight for the listeners on the ways that the chemicals play a part in this. And, you may be doing all the things in your mundane and spiritual life that you always did before that maintained, but these chemicals are throwing a wrench in things. And you're like, why isn't anything that I've practiced working, including, fitness, physical fitness? Everything changes with that.
Yes.
Your food changes, your even taste, like all kinds of things go haywire, or potentially can go haywire. I believe I have not yet hit it. I know. I'm the only one, I think. I don't know. Either that or I'm not noticing and just thinking it's life. But, I don't really see any of the signs. I'm tired, but my goodness, the amount of stress that goes on in my world, not self-induced, I don't think. That just kind of, I feel like I attributed a lot to that. And not, but I'm curious, so having a specialist would be great to talk to about that.
For sure. I definitely want to have that, because that's something that I think, a lot of women, they don't want to talk about, or they don't know even. Like I didn't know there was a period. I thought there was just once you did it, and it's not even a thing. Like it's a one-day thing. Like once you hit menopause, it's menopause, and then it's post-menopause. I'm like, what? I thought it was like the whole thing. It's understanding these things, these cycles of life that we go through, and I think it's super important. The reason why I'm bringing this up, guys, in this crazy tangent, is I had friends over. It was not this weekend. It was like maybe a couple weekends ago, and the three of us girls were chit-chatting and blah blah blah, and our partners were overhearing. They're like, "This is what you girls talk about?" I'm like, yeah, this is what we talk about. Like, this is real life, guys. They're like, we had no idea. I was like, okay, so let's have a conversation for sure. But anyway, that's the side note. That's what I want to talk about. So if anybody wants to reach out to us, would love that. But coming back here to the topic that I definitely want to talk about is self-worth. Sorry. My
okay. Something's up with
supplements, that. My supplements, I think, are still powdery in my drink.
Oh dear.
So I just got a little zhuzh, get a little frog in my throat. And a little frog. So we got a couple of questions from some of our viewers and our listeners and stuff like that about self-worth. And and I really want to kind of start off on like a really positive note. So like if I had this question, this is really cool, because I love music, I'm into music, we're all into music and we love music. And somebody actually wrote, so if self-worth was a theme song for you, what would that be and why? So for me, I honestly think this is a song that I every time that I would go speak in front of people, every time that I had a really big test or something like that, every time that I was going to do something really big and I wanted to just kind of like shine and feel this like really good energy, for me, it's Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, Can't Hold Us. Have you ever heard that song?
I'm sure I have, but how's it go? Like, how do
it's we? Like it kind of sounds. The guy kind of sounds like John Legend. I'm not gonna lie, because I honestly thought it was John Legend. He's it. There we go back. This is our moment.
Oh yeah,
can't hold us. Yeah. So that is definitely a song. I call it an anthem for sure, because I just love the words, and it's just.
I'm writing that down. What is my anthem?
It's such a great song, And why, I don't know how it became, like, I just heard it and I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is like, I feel like my theme song, and it still resonates now to this day. Every time I hear it, and I'm like, yeah, and I just like wanted to go do something. I feel excited, I get that energy. And it's funny because now I'm thinking about all of the times that I was like really down on myself and really just feeling like, not that I didn't feel worthy, but I just felt like I should be doing this because I'm this old, I'm in this position or whatever. You know what I mean? That should. The shoulds. I know, guys, we should not should ourselves. It's messy. It's messy and it happens. But I'm like, that is a song that really resonates with you, and it's still, after all these years, like, that's you. Like, nothing can hold you down. You know what I mean? Break the ceilings, break the glass door, like, go, kick the door down, like, just do it. Like, go after whatever it is you want to go after, because at the end of the day, and this is something that I'm learning now. This was not always like this, guys. Believe you me, this was not always like this. I honestly believe that everything that we have is definitely within us. And I know that we've said that a billion times, we've heard it a million times, but it's, I think until we actually truly believe it and feel it within ourselves, like it's the other doors of opportunity or whatever it is, I don't believe are going to open up for us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Say what you just said again for the people in the back. That line, that last line.
Yeah. So I honestly believe, not even that I think, I honestly believe and I feel that everything that we have or anything that we want in our lives is truly within us. You know, it doesn't matter because the outside is always going to change. That's the variable. You know, the constant is us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So just go after it. Just go after the things that you want to go after, even if it's uncomfortable, because believe you me, like starting this podcast was incredibly uncomfortable. And I even say to this day to Jamie, I'm like, I don't doing a solo podcast is real hard.
It's like you echo and there's no, yeah, it's all just you kind of giving a speech sort of thing. It's an interesting experience. It's good to master because it's a new level of empowerment, but it does feel entirely different. Going back to what you said, why I asked you to say it again for folks. Earlier today, I was listening to some shorts on YouTube, and I came across one from Abraham Hicks. And it talked about what was the wording that they used? Let me just look, see if it's still in there. There's a particular word that
I love Abraham Hicks. And I had no idea who Abraham Hicks was. And I was like, why is everybody talking about Abraham Hicks? And I started there's some research, pretty interesting stuff. If you guys don't know who that is, go check it out.
That's
some really, really interesting stuff.
So thoughts and conditions. And so it reminded me because in this short, they encouraged you not to wait for the right conditions. The change happens through your thought. And if you wait for the right condition, you'll be waiting forever, right? You have to feel it, change it, think it, and then the condition will present. Does that make sense? I don't know. For some reason, what you said reminded me of what I had listened to earlier, which seems very synchronistic.
It is super synchronistic because I think that's something that you and I have said before. Just, you know, just start the thing, you know, whatever it is, just go and do it. And the opportunity will present as you feel more comfortable, as you get better at doing whatever that thing is. Because we don't know what we don't know, guys. You know what I mean? We want to start something, but we don't have, like when we were talking about, you know, starting the podcast. I don't have the right equipment. I don't have a mic. I don't have this. I don't have that.
We voted for the top of the line stuff and just the right everything. I mean, we have evolved our space, our equipment over the last 3 years or so, right?
Totally.
But we started with just a little microphone and an app.
That's it. Yeah, our cell phone and an app, guys. Like seriously, it's been a journey, and I love it that it doesn't matter the outside stuff. You know what I mean? Like that I think is irrelevant. I think because you and I have come to the conclusion of like we're gonna do this regardless. You know what I mean? We're talking, we're speaking on the mics, we're talking to the people, we're doing the interviews, we're doing this because we have stories to tell. We want to learn from other people as well. Like, how can we maybe do this better, improve this, cut time on here, make this more beneficial to our well-being, however that looks like, or whatever that looks like. You know, and I think that's really important, especially when it comes to success and self-worth. You know what I mean? We a lot of the time attribute success to things the nice car, the status, the this,
Material items.
the material items
See.
of success and abundance and what that looks like. I'm abundant because I have a lot of money. No, the abundance and that status or whatever that you want is, I call it's exterior, and I say that from experience. I've been there, done that, the bag, the this, all that stuff. It's just stuff at the end of the day. You know what I mean? When that's gone, what else you got? What else are you excited to give to the world? And it really took me a long time to kind of process that. I grew up in private school. Everyone around me had a lot of money. When I went to high school, everyone around me had a lot of money. College, the same thing. And I was just like, oh, that means status. That means wealth. That means this. That means that. But I never understood, and my parents were not wealthy, but we got everything that we wanted. We wanted a doll, we wanted a game, we got it. You know what I mean? So it's just like, oh, that's nice, whatever, that's awesome. And until I actually started really, making real money, I was even afraid, to tell you the truth. I was even afraid. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to spend this much on this handbag or this much on these shoes. You know what I mean? I was a little fearful, even though financially I was able to. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. You know what I mean?
Was it based off of an underlying lack or fear of lack at some point? Like that if you do this now, it will not present you, it won't be replenished. That flow that we talk about in spirituality, that open window of okay.
Yeah, because I never had quote unquote to that level before. So I was like, well, if I do this now, I'm not going to have it again. But I think changing that mindset of true abundance, you know what I mean? That it's a tool. Money is a tool. It's not a thing that we go and get, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's something that we can use to do other cool, amazing things with, not just get the stuff. Because the stuff, you get the item, you buy the car, you buy the house, you buy the whatever, you're excited for 5 seconds.
Yeah, because it leads to something else. You get the car because you're trying to feel something else.
Correct.
It's never ending with that. Yeah. So then at some point you're like, well, that didn't do it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you keep searching for the thing, and the thing is actually the hole, so to speak, or the void is filled by something that's not even tangible. It's a weird, twisted thing,
crazy,
man.
Yeah, totally. No, totally. And I think it's interesting because, a lot of us and even, people that I've interviewed that are, very, very well off, they say the same thing. I thought that achieving this, and even when they achieve a certain level of success or a certain level of whatever it is, when they achieve that goal, they're like, okay, this is great. Now what? What's next? And even myself, when I started with, I started in marketing, and then I did sales, and then I was director of sales. I was vice president of the company. Then I was president of the company, and then I got ownership in the company with Dirk, when my late husband. And I was 32, 33 years old. I was like, is this it? What else is next? Yeah,
well, back in the day it was. Now, everyone's starting their own company, so there's that.
Exactly. And for me, it was that title was it was a huge thing, and I worked very, very hard, and there was a lot of people that thought I did not work as hard, and that's okay. But I did a lot of things.
I hear that tone, and that's okay.
And that's okay. That's on you, not on me. That I've learned that in my years. Thank you so much. But getting to that level of title, what have you, and I was like, is this really this is it? There's no place to go. Speaking of holding us down, glass ceiling. I was like, I don't even know if I really want to do this anymore. And this is,
And that's
and
fair.
this is before he passed away. I was like, maybe I want to do something else. Like, I think I want to do something else.
Yeah.
Because I just wasn't feeling fulfilled. And I think, a lot of us get to that point when we get to, certain levels of success or certain levels of, titles or whatever it is, that we get to a certain level. And sometimes we're just like, okay, what's next? Because we're, like you said before, we're trying to fill whatever void that we have inside, whatever that is, that sometimes we don't even know that's there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because, it takes, and you've heard this forever. I wish I knew then what I know now. That same thing. It was so annoying when I was younger to hear that. I totally get it, because I look back and, my ego mind says, man, you wasted a lot of time doing that. You wasted a lot of money doing that. My spiritual mind says it was all a part of the process, the steps to get here. So you battle with that sometimes, or at least bounce it around a little bit in your brain there. But with that, knowing these things that we have come across and that we talk about, the getting into the what and the why. Now we do it a little differently, because we don't just go for the thing that everyone says that's the thing. So I should be going for that thing because that thing is going to make me amazing. That thing, Now we know to say, okay, what are we looking at and why are we looking at this?
Yeah.
What feeling is it going to change in us? What feeling are we looking for? And digging into that. And I think you can't extract self-worth from that whole thought process. It's all tied in, I think, when you talk about your what's and your whys and stuff like that. At least we're going to say 80% of the time, I think.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I love that you're saying that, because I had a conversation with a gentleman that I interviewed yesterday. And he mentioned this as well. He said, it's really asking myself, what is it that I'm feeling and why am I feeling this way? And I literally like screamed. I was like, oh my gosh, we talk about this all the time. Because it's true. Like,
we need to make a t-shirt, the what and the
why.
why.
Do.
DCNW.
Hashtag merch. I love merch. And it's something that you think it's so minute, you think it's so minimal, asking these questions like what and why, but it actually opens up really a whole different world for you when you start doing that. When you have this feeling of like, oh, I want this thing, I want this thing, I want this thing. Okay, cool. Why do you want this thing? And ask again, and why, and the why, and the why. And as you keep asking yourself, and I did this kind of, not project, but this, I guess, not test. I don't know, this thing that I did. Huh?
Exercise?
Thank you. Jeez Louise.
That's I earned my money today. There you go.
Today. I did this exercise of, okay, if I was to do a TED Talk, like what would I talk about and why? And I kept asking the why and the why and the why. I was like, oh. And it took me a little bit, it took me like a few hours. I'm not going to lie, because I was like, I don't know, because of this. I don't know, because of this. Because the ego was there rapping, you know what I mean? And not really letting me get into the nitty gritty of the why. And I was like,
it's so illuminating when you go through the effort of doing that. And I say that because it can be tedious and it can be annoying on some level. Your energy is resisting it and saying, well, don't worry about all that. Ego mind says, just do what I'm programmed to do. But when you put that effort in, I think it's very illuminating and like a breath of fresh air of clarity.
Totally.
And then sometimes you don't want to do it anymore. You're like, well, never mind.
It's like, I'm going to leave that right there. And when it comes back, when I have the energy again to, kind of look back at it, I'll look back at it and see what I want to do with it. And I think that's exciting. You know what I mean? For me, especially, when it came to when we were writing that chapter in the book, I was like, I go, really, like, how am I going to tell my story, quote unquote, in 1,000 words? You know what I mean? Like that was really the hardest to really compress and make it minuscule and so short. But I was like, I go, I don't have to tell the whole story. I can do what I want. Like Jamie says, I can do what I want.
I'm the boss of me.
And I made it more of just an intro, like an introduction,
Like an appetizer.
like a little appetizer of like, this is what happened. Everyone just about knows exactly what happened after that. But, kind of shedding light, if you will, shedding light towards, leaving that door open, opening the door, shedding some light. And if we're going to walk through that door, we're working on it. We're going to walk through that door and we're going to create a book or create whatever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let some light in.
Let some light in.
It feels, if you've ever just, you've been in the house all day or something and you walk outside and the sun just shines on you just right, it's a wonderful feeling. You feel it all through your body. You're like, that's nice. And sometimes when we have the courage to, illuminate some of these dark spots, we get that same kind of feeling.
For sure.
We're so worried, and then we do it. We're like, oh, that feels nice. That feels okay. I think I'll do more.
It's not so scary. Yeah, it's not so scary. And I think because we fear a lot. We fear what it means to do this, what we fear, what other people are going to say. We fear what people are going to say, not only about the project or whatever that you're creating, but what are they going to say about us? And I think that's the biggest one. Like, what are they going to say about me if I put this out into the world?
Yeah.
It's hard.
And we worry. And then I don't remember where this came. I think this was brought to me and I tried to share it, that we're the only ones that lived our story. So it can't be wrong.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Nobody else lived our story.
It's our
we
own
can't
experience.
Get wrong. It was our experience. Even if there's multiple people in a situation, that was your alone experience.
Yeah.
And once my brain wrapped around that, I was able to say, all right, this is how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. And it became less scary about getting it wrong or judged or anything like that. But I'm like, sometimes you can logic your way out of things. I try to.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. You shine it in there.
Totally.
So if any of you guys, side note, are wanting to blog or journal or write a book or go on a TED Talk or any of the things, and you might be worried about some of the things we're talking about, remember, you're the only person that could ever have lived your story. You cannot be wrong. It is your point of view. It is how you experienced it, mind, body, soul. That's it.
Definitely.
You have my permission. You have our permission. Go. Prosper.
Yes. Well. Go. Do it.
Create. We love the create. Yes. I just had to throw that out there.
No, I love that. Because it's true. You know what I mean? And I always kind of quote Ed Milet. If you guys are not listening to him, he's really, really fantastic. And he says, and we talked about this in our podcast. We have a podcast that went out today, and it was mastering our moments. And I think that was just, it's so spot on. It's just so the way that things kind of, work out. We discussed this, and we are the master of our own moments, of our own life. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We're the ones who experienced this the way it was and it is, or whatever it is. And I think that's very, very important, because sometimes we feel we are not qualified, quote unquote, to go on a podcast, to write a blog, to write a book, to write a poem, whatever that thing is, to create whatever you're going to create. And I think that's really important because a lot, we think that, oh, I'm not a therapist, or I'm not this, or I can't really speak on that subject. No, of course you can, because you experienced it, and I thought that same way. I was like, I don't suffer from addiction. I don't suffer from depression. Like, how am I going to speak about these two things that affected my life so much? You know what I mean? But I always say it this way. I was from I do the perspective of outside looking in. I am someone who lived with two people who were going through these very difficult times in their lives. And I didn't know what to do because I was inexperienced, and I had no idea. Like, there was no playbook, you know what I mean? And we did everything that we could to help these two beautiful humans. And unfortunately, for my story, I wasn't able to do anything. But then I look at it as, it was not my story to fix.
Yes, just to experience.
Just to experience. Yeah. And I think for a lot of us, with that. Yeah, no, definitely. And I think for a lot of us who experience things like this, we put a lot of guilt on ourselves. Like, I could have done this. I could have done that. I should have done this. I should have done that. And it took me a minute to recognize, like, that story I was meant to be a part of, but it wasn't my story to fix. That was their story to fix. And unfortunately they it was their time to whatever. I don't know how to say it.
As we say, their path was to experience, as I believe, and many others, it was their path to experience that. And when it is in your path, there's nothing anybody else can do about it. Mm-hmm. You can try, you can just destroy yourself trying, but if it's in their path to experience it, it's kind of like, you have to be able to be open-minded about that, and and at the very least, utilize that mental framework to allow yourself to forgive yourself for anything that you may feel you did not do in some way, to relieve yourself of the guilt afterwards. Because I guarantee you, 90% of the time, at least, I feel pretty safe about this, after they've crossed over, they don't want you feeling that.
Of course.
You know. Of course, there's some disgruntled souls out there, so I give you a little 10% right there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they don't want that. They see it as useless at that point, right?
And I think it's because we also recognize I'm sure they do. I don't know. I haven't been on that side of town, but like us here in this realm, we recognize, like, that doesn't serve me anymore. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of interesting now that we're kind of talking about it, like, that no longer serves me, or that doesn't really serve me. So I'm not going to do that anymore. So it's kind of going back to what we talked about in the beginning, is about self, recognizing self, and recognizing that everything that we have is within us, and everything that we need in our lives is within us. And the outside is always going to change, guys. There's always going to be different variables, different things that are going to be thrown at us. I'm like picturing, like, She-Ra and He-Man, that they're like blocking the things with their
I've been feeling that for sure. I'm sure others as well, but
that's just the vibe that I'm getting today. Yeah, just like that, like, shielding off that bad energy and just shielding things off. You know what I mean? And it's not easy. I know that. It's not. But I think when we come to a period in our lives that we're able to understand certain things and maybe recognize certain things, and we're like, okay, like, all right, so what can we do from here? I can't really change it. So, like, what can we do from here?
And I think having a set of, like, core values or just reference points, whatever you want to call them, that you develop as you grow. And you may not need them in that moment, but you fully understand them in the moment. And then you put it in your pocket, because a time is going to come, and that's what's going to get you through. And before I had those things, I just floundered in anger, in upsetness, and all things. But when you have these values, these things, allow you to fall back on them to support you, really. Hopefully this makes sense what I'm saying. I know what I'm thinking in my head. It can make a major difference in your life with that sort of thing. So that's why, I know that we always talk about it, and I teach having your tool belt, filling, when you need this, it's there. You understand it now. You may not need it today, but you get it. So keep a hold of it, because there'll be a day when you need this, and you pull it out and lean on it, and you will be able to get through things better, heal through things better. It doesn't mean it will deflect you completely from bad things. We know this. Doesn't matter how spiritual or wonderful of a human you are. Stuff is going to happen if you're alive in this world.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah. And those tools that we discuss, guys, it's like, it helps us. It allows us to heal through things a little bit quicker, not linger in it for so long, or whatever the case may be. But sometimes it takes that, it takes us a minute. We have to, be in that moment and feel the feels, and feel that anger, and feel that frustration and that pain, but also do the best that we can to release it, physically release it. You know what I mean? Because it's not always mental. Sometimes we have to scream and let it go.
We store up the energy in our bodies, and you can feel it sometimes. It's just palpable.
For sure.
You end up snapping off or being sassy. And I know I have, in the past few weeks, have fallen under that a little bit, in a good saging of myself, and some good music had shifted me out of it, because I realized it was building up and I could feel it. And so I was just real snippy, and not a very friendly Jamie. It was a crabby. I was crabby. It's the energy, and I couldn't get it out.
Yeah. And I think when we're like that, and we have those moments and those times and stuff like that, and I think when we recognize it and say, hey, let me do this to clear this from myself, that's growth. That's healing. You know what I mean? That's real life. Being
able to see yourself in a compassionate way, and being there for yourself during that, instead of just blowing up on the world. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
So thank you for whoever's question that was a bit originally.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
That tends to happen.
It does. We just ramble on, and we just kind of go on tangents. And another one in terms of and regarding like self-worth, I thought this was really interesting. It was said, how do you differentiate between self-worth and external validation? So how, I understand external validation, because when we get I am kind of see it in my head, if we're performing, because we're salespeople perform, right? I'm a salesperson. We perform, we get the validation. You did such a great job. Here's the testimonial. Here's the review, and yada, yada. That feels good. That feels great. And then sometimes it can pump us up. It feels exciting. It feels nice. But where is that kind of, is it a fine line, or where is that kind of, knowing your self-worth and knowing that it's external validation? You know what I mean?
Are you asking? Is it me? I didn't know. Oh, okay. That's why I'm being polite. I'm being very polite. I'm waiting for my turn. I'm not trying to talk over it. You're just like, okay, let me say it again and go. Okay, Jamie, you're not getting it and go. No.
All good.
So,
all good.
I happen to be holding a good one for your solar plexus and self-worth. This lemon looking citrine here. I picked it up.
A nice one.
Well, I can tell you right away, external validation is temporary. Self-worth is forever.
Mm-hmm.
It stays. If you have claimed it and woken it, whatever words you want to use, to really, I like to say, claim it, claim my self-worth, embody it. It can't be taken from you.
Yes.
It doesn't fade away. External validation is fantastic for 5 minutes and you feel so good. But then it's gone, and you maybe if you only acquire or feel that your self-worth comes from the external, you're always hunting for the next hit from someone else.
Mm-hmm. Instead
of being able to feel amazing from the inside. And again, nothing wrong with external. It's beautiful to feel seen and to have your work feel seen. That's a lovely thing. It just can't be the thing that you're addicted
to. You
to.
Chase. Yeah, the thing that you chase. Yes.
You have to be okay if you don't get that. You have to feel just fantastic if you don't. Like, it's icing on the cake. And that is easier said than done. And it's a journey to get there. But when it is, you feel so rock solid and peaceful. Mm-hmm. And the competitiveness and any shadiness just fades away, because it's okay if you don't get the recognition, and it's okay if you don't get it, because you feel that whatever you did was from the heart. You were able to express yourself, and that was what mattered to you. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, no, totally. And I really like this, because this is something I think I notice in a lot of musicians that I know, that they do see other people doing all these amazing, great things and yada yada, and getting the accolades and getting the this, getting the that, and very talented musicians. Like, I can't hold a beat. Super talented musicians, you know what I mean? And I think I'm recognizing that more and more. I'm like, the fact that they can listen to this, hear this, and they're like, oh, this is that. Like, it's amazing. But I think seeing that in some of them, in some of my friends, and I'm just like, I even say to them, I was like, I go, this might not be anything to you, but I'm going to tell you because I feel that you need to hear this. You have to be happy with you, within you, and that's it. All the outside's going to change. All the outside is real fantastic and amazing, but it's short-lived.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
It's short-lived.
And unless you want to be chasing forever, which it gets exhausting, and depending on what it is, it can be physically and emotionally quite a workout, to say the least. Mm-hmm. But with that said, I do want to acknowledge it is very nice to be seen.
Totally.
What you're doing. But once that fades away, you still have to feel yummy about yourself.
Yeah.
And good.
Feel yummy about yourself, and feel yummy about the things that you create, because I think we mentioned this before. Oh gosh, what is his name? No, it's not Rich Dubin. The Dubin guy. No, is it Rick Dubin? Is that his name? The producer guy?
Rick Rubin. Not the Dubin. The Rubin.
Rich Dubin. That's why. So Rich Dubin, if you're listening, here, shout out. Rick Rubin. Yes, he said the same thing. He says, I create not because of anything else on the outside. I create something because I like it. Mm-hmm. Because I'm happy with it, and I want people to hear it. And if they like it, great. And if they don't, they don't. And hearing that, I was like, yeah, dude. Yes, I like that.
I feel like that's the only way to do it and maintain peace. Like totally. With the book, I wrote the chapter to heal myself. I didn't care what anybody else thought, really, or if they ever read it. It was for me to exercise it into the light, because there are things that I had, and I think I told you at the time, never said out loud.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a quick way to peace, guys. If you can do it this way as well. People are like, well, how do you find peace in your life? And how do you, make peace with this or that? Start doing it for you and only you.
Yeah.
And then it's just amazing when someone else sees that and they're like, hey, I resonate with that. That's cool. I like it. Hey, you should hear this. This is good stuff, and then you just feel extra good. But regardless, I mean, that is the way to be peaceful. And with doing readings, I mean, it applies across the board.
It definitely does. For sure. For sure.
It's like one of those keys that I wish I knew 20 years ago, because I was chasing everything, chasing the fashion. I spent ridiculous amounts of money on clothes and the shiny stuff. And we got to go here, there. We got to, oh my God.
Yeah. And we're fairly young. I say fairly young. We're fairly young, but we still have a long life ahead, God willing, and that's what I tell my niece and my nephew. I'm like, I go, this is temporary. This stuff is temporary. I was like, I go, why invest in something else? Go get a house. Go invest in something else. Like, don't spend money on stuff that's not going to be anything in 5, 10, 20 years. You know what I mean? You have the means to do so. Like, a little bit goes a long way. Like, go pick a stack or something. And my nephew actually got me into investing. This is so funny. So every time I'm like, I go, you could have bought, a stock or something with that money. I kind of throw it back in their face.
Yeah.
But I just, a lot of us, we because of the outside, because of the social medias, because of, everything that's out there that's kind of pumping things in our face. I've edited my social media to only get, certain types of content, and if I don't like it, I'm uninterested or whatever. I click that tab and stuff.
Yes.
So I only get nice, cool stuff. Yeah. So
curate
I get on one platform, on one handle, I get a lot of like architecture stuff and house decorating and blah blah blah. And then on this platform, DCNW, it's all very spiritual and pretty colors, and you know what I mean? So,
and I wish more people would do that. And everyone thinks, I hear so many conversations online and in person where they're, basically social media is the devil. And that's the downfall of all the things. And all my problems are because of this. I don't get anything done because of this. I am depressed because of this. Mm-hmm. Listen, guys, Steph just explained it. It's called an algorithm.
Yeah.
Use it. And this is my mantra through life. How can I use this experience to my benefit?
Yes.
If you can take that line and apply it across the board to everything that is maybe uncomfortable or not gone your way, or, whatever, you insert words, some you don't like. How can I use this experience to my benefit? So with social media, adjust the algorithm. Start, if you need a little kickstart, go to the search bar and search for happy things, puppies, playing,
whatever
you want to do. It will start feeding you that. And like she said, start saying, I don't want to see the other stuff. There's a little 3 dots up the top. Say, I don't want to see anything more like this. Mm-hmm. And allow your feed then to wake you up with inspiration.
Totally.
Be the magician, the alchemist.
Be the alchemist. Yes.
The master of our moments, baby.
Yes. I love it. Be the alchemist.
Am determined not to let the world control me. So I will take a situation and I will say, okay, I hate this. This is not good. So how am I going to turn this around to something useful? I don't know. Maybe it's just me always wanting, I don't know. I think I was born with it, but I'm sure that there are many others that are as well, or you can learn it. I just refuse to let the things get.
Yeah. And I think it's important because, we think that why does this keep feeding me? Why did this keep saying things or showing me things I don't want to see anymore? I don't want to see anymore, because you keep clicking on it. You keep searching for that. Like that, how do you say that? I'm gonna say it, that low vibration stuff.
Yeah.
That anxiety, that fear, that
doom
because you're
scrolling.
used to living in that, guys. And that's why it feels weird when we look at other things that are a little more calming, a little bit more relaxed. We're like, this is boring, this is weird, because your body is so used to staying in that state of anxiety and that fear and that angst, that nastiness.
Mm-hmm.
Believe you me, I experienced it as well. I was like, this relationship's weird. Like, there's like no fighting. There's no, you know what I mean? Like, why am I not feeling that quote unquote butterfly in my belly anymore? Because you're calm, dude.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
But that butterfly is not a good butterfly. That's the one that rots.
And there's been times when I have seen heard individuals talk about the toxicity and the articles that come up on the social media and stuff, yet they are reading them.
Yeah.
You have a part to play in this. Mm-hmm. You can, and this is probably unpopular for some folks, this opinion. You have a part to play in this. Along with relationships, stirring it up when you're uncomfortable with the peace. There's a part of you with unhealed individuals for different reasons, but there's one particular type, and you seek out a bit of drama because there's traumas that are unhealed. And so if you can't get in a relationship, you'll watch, the crazy shows, reality shows, where they're just, on an island doing horrible things to each other, cheating on each other and all the things, because you need some drama, you need that fix. And what you really need to do is fix you, so you don't.
Because that is your norm, and I think that's what a lot of people don't really recognize. Like, okay, that's my normal state. So let's take a look back and your past relationships with family, with friends, whatever. What does that really look like?
Are you used to the drama? And that's why you're comfortable, because you got used to that. So if it's peaceful, you're like, this is very uncomfortable.
It's awkward. It's weird.
Here.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it applies also. Like if you, and I got to doing this when I was on the process of reclaiming my self-worth and things like that, I would flat out tell people stuff that I saw, like, you look absolutely beautiful today. And I wasn't meaning anything other than that is what I saw. And the reactions on folks were kind of like, that was weird. I'm like, why is it weird that I'm telling you that you look good today? Or that, I enjoy spending time with you. That's all that I mean is that. But I'm just appreciating things and being able to verbalize it without feeling weird about it. I think that should be normalized, people.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
If you see a nice thing, compliment it. You don't have an ulterior motive other than just bringing it to it. It's just a observation that's a pleasant one. But and also the receiving it. It's hard sometimes when you start out.
Super hard to receive it. Girl. Ooh, honey, that's another topic for another day, because I also myself very hard to receive compliments.
And how many times we say, "Oh, it's not that. Oh, that's okay." I still practice this. It is a work in progress, but I was told to simply say, "Thank you."
That's it.
That's it. You heard the silence, folks, because that was it. That is a complete sentence. Just like no is a complete sentence. You don't have to downplay it, minimize it. Have the humility thing that you might have been taught to, to say thank you. And learn to be totally good with receiving that, verbal blessing. It's okay. Right. You deserve it. Why don't you deserve a compliment? I mean, people, why not? You tell me. Write to me. Tell me why.
Fantastic.
It's as simple as that, but forever. years, a couple few decades, I had trouble doing that. Thank you.
Say thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's it.
And throw a smile in there if you wish. That's it. And if they're saying something you don't like, you can say, thank you for your feedback. And throw
Yes, that's my favorite.
I know.
Thank you for your feedback. Okay. I love it.
People don't know what to say with that. They're just like, but that wasn't, I don't, did you hear me? Heard you. Thank you for your feedback. Okay.
I love it. Hell yeah. And on that note, thank you guys so much. Oh man, that was a good live. I love you guys. You know, if you have questions you want to send us for our next live here in May, send us the information. Tell us the things you guys want us to discuss here. And as always, we love you. Thank you for the love and the support. And yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Check out some of the recorded podcasts on Spotify, Apple Music, all the places, iHeart Radio, because we have quite a few different discussion topics. And Audible. Stephanie has interviewed quite a few other individuals. If you'd like some freshness in there. So there's lots of stuff to check out. So do check it out. Leave us messages. Until next time.
Until next time. Later.